students will be wondering about who is Professor J.C.B. Abraham. Anyone of you know who is Professor J.C.B. Abraham? Yes? He was a professor. Yes. He was the former head of the undergraduate and postgraduate head of the Department of Zoology. He has inspired many students by his lecture. Professor J.C.B. loved and taught evolution and genetics. In memory of Professor J.C.B. and his love for subjects like genetics and evolution, this endowment lecture blossomed. So just like you students, few students who have gone out of this college, they have started this endowment lecture. They have collected a certain amount of money. They have made it as an FD, and out of this interest, this lecture is being conducted. And this is in honor of a professor. And to address this lecture, we have a renowned scientist, Dr. K. Thangaraj, who's a Bhatnagar Fellow. This is an award given to outstanding scientists in the country. He has a very extensive expertise in ancient DNA and forensic genetics. His research interest in the field of human origin, health and disease. He's a world-renowned scientist in human genetics. He's the former director, Center for DNA Fingerprinting and Diagnostics, Hyderabad. His research papers have high H-index. He has received many awards, and one such recent award is a legend. He's from Hyderabad, and he's given the award Legend of Hyderabad by Dr. Mohan Diabetes Specialty Center. Give him a big hand. On behalf of the Postgraduate and Research Department of Zoology, I welcome you, sir. It is an honor to have you with us for the J.C.B. Endowment Lecture. Welcome. It is my honor to welcome our former head of the Department of Zoology, Dr. Dinakaran Michael, who has joined with us online. He is a versatile person, an administrator, an active researcher. Of all, he has a love for the department and the college, which has bloomed into the lecture series. Welcome, sir. He's joining us online. It is my esteemed honor to welcome our esteemed principal, Dr. Paul Jacob, a pillar of support to all the departmental programs, who's paving way to take this institution to greater heights. Welcome, sir. It is my honor to welcome our vice principal, Dr. Samuel Anduselvan, who encourages us and spins all the activities in the college. Welcome, sir. I welcome our bursar, Dr. Beulah Ruby Kamalam, who's a very, very powerful person, like Nirmala Sitaraman. She's very supportive to all the activities in the Department of Zoology. Welcome, ma'am. I welcome our chaplain, who's the religious head of this college. Welcome you, sir. I welcome all our alumni who have joined both online and offline to participate in this lecture series. A special word of welcome to all the donors of J.C.B. Endowment who have joined online. I welcome our esteemed alumni, Mr. Prince, who's a retired master from Sainik School, who's always there for the department, an ardent lover of JCBA. I welcome you, sir, on behalf of the department. And he's the very youngest alumni. Can you see him? He's very young, energetic still. And I welcome all faculty friends of this college and other colleges. I welcome our former head of the department, Dr. Joseph Tatayas, all the heads of the other departments, deans, and I welcome all my dear students from this college and other colleges who are going to be the stakeholders, and my special word of...
Because definitely we'll have at least a person or more than one from the IITs and IICs, or also we'll have scientists. And our college is known for a few Bhatnagar awardees. And here we have Dr. Thangaraj. He is a CSIR Bhatnagar fellow. And it is a great joy to have him here to talk to young minds, because I always believe that talking to our students, scientists like Dr. Tangaraj and others, that will instill quite a lot of interest. And I have always believed that anything which happens outside the classroom, a talk or a discussion or a conversation with such reputed, academicians. From the standpoint of a student of literature, this question echoes through the pages of human history and the creativity. Therefore, the search for identity, be it biological, cultural, or linguistic, has always been central to our understanding of who we are. In literature, in our field of study, this quest often manifests as a journey of self-discovery. In science, it becomes an empirical pursuit to trace our genetic and evolutionary roots. Both seek the same truth through different lenses. So the mystery of human origin and the meaning of existence. So I see a great connect between your field of study and our field of study. There's always something which is very common. And therefore, I think and believe that this lecture on who are we, tale behind tracing our roots and beyond, is going to be very interesting. At the same time, going to pose a lot of questions to you, for which, if you are able to find answers, definitely one day you will be one of the greatest scientists that the India produces every year. So, as I told you already, lectures of these kinds are very, very important as far as I'm concerned. You always hear lectures, listen to lectures. Sometimes, most of the time, it's just hearing, right? Students? Do you listen to lectures or do you hear lectures? Most of the time, you hear lectures. You don't listen to that. But there's a lot of difference between hearing and listening. But I want you to, concentrate and listen to the lectures that are given to you. Each lecture will have just a spark of idea. And if you are intelligent enough, you'll be able to get that spark. And that would really help you to do quite a lot of things. Today you would be there. And tomorrow you would be in some part of the world. And a lot of alumni are spread throughout the globe. And you have lots and lots of alumni throughout the world. And all those people are inspiration to you. So I want, again, all of you to keenly listen to the lecture. Listen in capitals, okay? Listen to the lectures. One way of, listening very carefully is taking notes. I'm happy that many of you have come with the note and the pen. And please listen and take notes. And I want you to develop ideas from here, because this is where ideas develop. Like in our field, we say only in seminars and conferences, theories evolve, language theories. Likewise, I believe that a lot of ideas would evolve, and you take that idea and then work on it. You can write a paper, of course, with the help of your teachers. And therefore, I wish all the best to all of you, especially the students, that you'll have one of the best times for this month and before you go for examination. Definitely there is going to be some test as far as your intelligence is concerned. And with those few words, I wish all of you a great success for this special lecture. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your motivating and insightful words.
It's a pleasure to have with us Professor Dr. R. Dinagaran Michael, former Head Department of Zoology, the American College, former Dean of Life Science Waves Institute of Science and Technology, Chennai, to address the gathering and share the vision and purpose of this endowment lecture series.
premier speaker, Dr. Thangalal, will be the convenience of the meeting, Dr. John Manila, head of microbiology, Dr. Joseph, working faculty fellows, dear students, and ladies and gentlemen. I also thank the organizers for giving me the opportunity for speaking a few words about this meeting. The main purpose of this series is to give an opportunity to students to listen to eminent scientists, biologists of this country. And this meeting is sponsored by the Endowment, established in memory and honor of Professor Dr. J.C.B. Abraham, the teacher par excellence. Dr. J.C.B. he was born in October 1927, and also he left us in October 2002. In fact, in the next 2 years, we are going to celebrate Dr. J.C.B.'s centenary year, 2027, and we will have a fairly big gala meeting on that day here in this department. Professor Bhaskar Abraham, that is J.C. Bhaskar Abraham, he did his bachelor's program in the American College, and then for master's he went to Madras Christian College. At that time, American College did not have master's program in zoology. After finishing his master's in Madras Christian College, he joined American College in the early 1950s. In the next 10 to 12 years, he became the head of undergraduate zoology. And then in another 10 years or 12 years, he became the head of the postgraduate department, in addition to becoming the vice principal of the college. As a student, he was very outstanding here, both in American College and Madras Christian College. And as a faculty member in the American College, he was excellent in his teaching, and he inspired large number of students, including myself. And his lectures were wonderful, particularly on genetics and evolution. And I remember in the second BSc, he taught us evolution of the vertebrates, mainly written by Dr. Colbert. That was very fascinating. And then in 1986, he retired from the American College as a postgraduate head. But the department, we were there at that time. In fact, I took charge from him, and we invited him after his retirement for nearly 14 years as a visiting professor to the postgraduate department of zoology. And every week he will come and give 2 hours or 3 hours of lecture to the MSc students. So generation students are also kind of had the opportunity of listening to Professor Bhaskar Abraham. Now, after his retirement, nearly 20 years after his retirement, some of his students thought that we should establish an endowment in honor and in memory of Professor J.C. Bhaskar Abraham, or J.C.B. Abraham, or just J.C.B.A. And so we are here in the second of the series sponsored by the endowment established a couple of years back. And because he was born in October and also left us in October, different years, about 74 years difference, and you expect lectures from eminent people of this country during the time September, October, unless there is any other important meeting in the department. We will always have it in October. So you can expect a meeting in October every year to be given by different experts. And this is the main point I want to tell you about Professor Bhaskar Abraham. And this endowment is in his honor, and the endowment is supporting these lectures given by the different experts. I don't want to extend, and because there is a time crunch, and so I'll just finish it by telling, as the convener of the endowment committee, I extend a very warm welcome to all the dignitaries and also to the participants, and also wish them a great time listening to the wonderful presentation by Dr. Thangaraj. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring message and enlightening us with the importance of this lecture series. Please join us in welcoming Mr. Prince, retired senior master, Sainik School, Satara, Maharashtra, who will contribute to the remarkable Professor Dr. J.C.B. Abraham through his heartfelt reminiscence.
Good morning, all. The only qualification for me to stand is Sir, I was going through your biodata some 3 days back. I read and read, I could not, even reading it, I became so breathless. And so many responsibilities you are carrying on your shoulder, so many duties, and so much of research work. And above all, your scientific research that you are doing. As such a great scientist, today I come to honor this lecture series. So for that I thank you, sir. Now coming to my professor, J.C.B. or J.C. Bhaskar Abraham. It's not today or yesterday or day before. I was a student 64 years back. 64 years. But even today, I can see his face as he is talking to us, and he is present in this room so closely and listening to me. What can I say of Professor J.C.B? I'll borrow the style of the love stories. First line. I don't know how many of you read that love story. professor who is exemplary in his teaching ways. What can I say of a professor who read all the books, fiction, non-fiction, academic, non-academic? What can I say of a professor who is a lover of music? What can I say of a professor who is lover of cricket? And what can I say of a professor that strict disciplinary? And finally, what can I say of a professor that died young at the age of 75? Only the last part is slightly saddening. Otherwise, my professor, our professor, is still lives with us. About his teaching, I did not tell you. Everybody would have talked. Last year also we spoke about that. This year also, and people will talk about that. So I would like to keep myself away from the four walls of the classroom, outside the classroom. Man of quick wit. You ask him anything. As soon as the class is over, some 4 or 5 will follow him. From the sofa hall, will come down, surround him, ask him anything and everything. You know, he is a bachelor all his life. Once we asked him, sir, your idol is a man who married 4 times. But why you are not married? So his immediate answer would be, my idol has not realized his past mistake, even of the 4 times. But I have taken a lesson from him. That's why I stay a bachelor all these years. Another time, we asked him, sir, your name is Abraham. What's the difference between the biblical Abraham and you? Instant retort. The biblical Abraham is the father of faith, whereas I am not even a father of children. That's because he has not yet married. So his quick wit and quick answer. Second thing about his books, he will not lend his book to us, but he will make every one of the students to buy his own book. He will recommend a nice book. So let me see. Don't touch it, man. You go and buy your own. So he made us all buy books. So the few books which I have is because of his recommendation. And over and above that, after some 15 days he will ask the content of the book, what you have read from the book. The same way with cricket. He is not just like a cricket fan like you and me, just doing the score, whether who has won, who has lost. He knew the history of cricket from the beginning. Professor Vasantan has written an article on him, former professor of American College. In that he mentions he once went to Lord's, and in the Lord's it is not a display time, it is an ordinary time. So there he went to Lord's Museum, and there were many
Department of Zoology, to present a memento as a warm welcome to our Vice Principal, Dr. Samuel Andrichelvar. It's a privilege to request our esteemed Dr. E. Jaishamala, PG Head, Department of Zoology, to honor our chief guest, the eminent speaker, Dr. K. Tangaraj, with a warm welcome and a memento of appreciation.
Ravi stage le kuch. Ravi.
Now I call Dr. T. Angelin, Assistant Professor.
I request Dr. P. Velladurai, UG Head, Department of Zoology, to present a memento as a warm welcome to our Vice Principal, Dr. Samuel Andrichelvar.
Now I call Dr. T. Angelin, Assistant Professor, Department of Zoology, to present the memento to our esteemed bursar of our college, Dr. Beulah Ruby Kamalam, as an expression of gratitude.
I invite Dr. Shivarugan, Assistant Professor, Department of Zoology, to honor our guest, Mr. Prince, with a memento for his gracious presence.
I call Dr. Delia Rupa, Assistant Professor, Department of Zoology, to greet the alumni, Dr. Mario.
Dear audience, before listening our lecture of our eminent scientist, I have the photograph of our Professor Dr. J.C.B. Abraham, who was with me. I was the secretary, PG secretary of the students. So it was the photograph in 1977. Imagine how he is young. And energetic. So last thing, you can go ahead when you are going out on your tea break. Thank you so much.
I invite Dr. Sujay Sellamedi, Assistant Professor, Department of Zoology, to greet our alumni, Dr. Vaniyarajan.
Now the most awaited part of today's program. I take
several awards. Very few here I'm mentioning. It's J.C. Bose Fellowship, Sun Pharma Research Award in Medical Sciences, Raman Research Fellowship, Lifetime Achievement Award, Excellence in Science Award, and Distinguished Scientist Award, Sir C. Raman Memorial Lecture Award, Sir Dr. Even Brahmachari Award, and so on. And he has delivered several lectures, which of course has earned him these fellowships and
don't show the disease, that is recessive. It requires one more copy to express the disease. So here, what you see in Ashkenazi Jewish, most of the diseases are autosomal recessive. I mean, the mutation must have arose sometime back in the population, and it is circulated because they are marrying within the community. And when there is an opportunity, the two heterozygous individuals marry and they pass on the mutation to the next generation. Both the chromosomes which has a mutation is present in an individual because the disease is a recessive disease. Right? Same way is in the Finnish population. Then you can imagine with this tiny IBD itself there are so many diseases in mapped. Look at so many Indian population which has multiple fold of IBD. That means we don't have any clue that what kind of disease exists in most of the Indian population. To give you little more about the recessive disease, look at this lady.
அதுக்குள்ள சார் எனக்கும் நிறைய இருக்கு.
Right? If you put circle, that means female, square, male, and put a line, that means these two are married. Put a line down and put the circle, that means daughter. Right? Put a square, this is a son. Here, the pair of chromosome. This chromosome has a mutation. This is not having the mutation. It means heterozygous. The individual is absolutely fine. There is no disease. Her husband doesn't have that mutation. It's a wild type. It's a heterozygous. Then they married, two daughters. Again, the mother transmitted that mutation to both the daughters, and both of them married somebody from outside. They don't have that mutation, so no problem as long as it goes in a heterozygous condition. Same way this goes in the heterozygous condition. So now these two individuals, now because of so many generations has passed, they may not have any idea that they are related. Right? In a small village you go, there are some 50 families or 100 families. All the 100 must have come from a common ancestor, one grandparents. But today they say that okay, they are unrelated, but they are in the same village. So that's the situation here. The girl and the boy received the mutation which comes generation after generation in heterozygous condition. the sequence which we had, few thousand. Then very recently we completed sequencing 10,000 whole genome. Very recently, in January, Honorable Prime Minister announced about the completion of the 10,000 genome. We looked at on the 10,000 individuals. These are 10,000 individuals. You can see all the markers, and this is where precisely we deleted the 11 base. But now we have the homozygous line of human, and we again tested with keratinocyte and keratinocyte markers. You can see this is a wild type. The skin is normal, where you can see the homozygous keratinocyte shows abnormal. Okay, and we are continuing this work doing transcriptomics, proteomics, and also looking at various other aspects to understand the basic biology of this mutation. On the other hand, we have to help the society because we found the mutation which is responsible, because it's very clear from the study that mutation is responsible for the disease, right? In the animal model shows. Then we came to know the mother, one of the mothers who have lost 2 children are pregnant. Then we took the mother to Chennai to collect the amniotic fluid, and we tested and found this is the amniotic fluid. It's homozygous, heterozygous, due to elite. Similarly, the amniotic fluid also showed fortunately 2 bands suggesting the heterozygous. Again, we sequenced and found that it's heterozygous. Then we advised the mother to continue with the pregnancy, and the child was born a couple of years back with the normal phenotype, and she's absolutely fine. It was also second time another mother we found with the help of 1 year. I think we collected sample in mother itself, and that also fortunately heterozygous. So the baby is again fine. So now we can't stop here. Knowing that we identify the mutation which is responsible for the disease, we need to do something for the society. The population is not very big, 5,000 individuals. We could have gone and collected the sample, but we wanted to go systematically, so we approached the Directorate of Public Health and Preventive Medicine, Government of Tamil Nadu, to give us the permission. And there is several procedures, including the ethical committee clearance and scientific committee clearance and so on. So finally we got the approval in the month of April, although the letter was showing January, but April, that we can go and collect the sample and screen. And very recently we went and collected the sample in July. We collected 180 samples. Out of 180, 4.5% of the individuals are carrying the heterozygous mutation. Okay, they're absolutely fine. Right? So we now planning for going and collecting all the individuals. Once you collect the sample from all the individuals, we can make a database. Even the children, for example, we find the heterozygous mutation today, and the child grows maybe after 15 years or 20 years, and he or she want to marry somebody, and that record also will be there, and see what is heterozygous. We can give appropriate suggestion. And again, in some
according to Darwin, it will take a very progressive step and it is very slow.
If you look at for the last 100 years, where industrial revolution, the evolutionary process is little faster. For example, I told you about what happened in the recent past about domestication of animals. After domestication, the lactic persistent gene has changed. After agriculture, amylase gene multiplied. Right? Same way, the adaptation gene. Somebody want to live in high altitude, they have to carry more oxygen in their RBC, so that mutation have worked. And because of malaria, we have mutation which causes sickle cell. Right? Same way, in the recent past, the mutations are happening. We cannot consider that as a major evolution. This is a small evolution. Even the skin color. Look at Africans and people from Europe. The skin color mutation arose because people migrated from Africa to a place where there's no sunlight. Right? The Europe, even today, some countries in weeks, months, there's no sunlight. Sunlight is essential for vitamin D synthesis. So because of that, there's a mutation introduced in our gene SLC25A. So that turned the skin color into lighter. So therefore, even with the mild light, because of the less the melanin content, that's sufficient for vitamin D synthesis. That's the way it's happening. But the major evolution, for example, the back mutation, it happens, but they may not survive, right? They may not be able to transmit their genome to the next generation. That's the end of it. So unless otherwise it has an added advantage, it's not going to go. So slowly, for example, even the diseases, including cardiovascular and diabetes. So the reason, one of the reasons for diabetes is this thrift hypothesis. In our forefathers, they don't have much food. We have very small quantity, which are not rich in other fat and other things. So our genome is adapted for slow metabolizing with existing food. Right now, we have so much of variety of food, particularly with a lot of calories, like sugar, fat, and many more. Therefore, our genome is not able to metabolize that food. Therefore, we have the disease. Maybe we start eating same day, there could be a mutation. We don't know when it will happen. So that may take care of it. So it is happening at micro level.
It's the microevolution. And the another question is, what will be the reason for that changes in the humans? You showed the pictures of some persons.
Which one?
The pictures that shown in
The child.
yeah, not a child. That monkey-like thing.
Unfortunately, we could not get the DNA. In fact, about 30 years back, that is the time when I joined CCFP. So this family, these three brothers were in one of the circus company in Bangalore. So at that time, Dr. Rajesh Singh told me, why don't you go and take the sample? I went to Bangalore with the help of
how they are related with the ancestral North Indian and ancestral South Indian population?
As you said, I didn't touch upon anything about the Y chromosome, which we all the males inherit, maternally, besides paternally. We had a lot of other stories because of the time. When you looked at the ancestral North Indian and ancestral South Indian, where looked at the autosomes, which is equally contributing
you have made a wonderful presentation. What is your take-home message on endogamy?
I clearly show that endogamy should be avoided, particularly when you have the recessive disease. I don't say that totally stop, but it always have some kind of this possibility that there could be a recessive disease.
Should there be a bill passed for that, sir?
That we can't say.
Because the Indian community is very much on endogamy.
Yeah, yeah, yes. But on the other side, with the mutation that can be further taken at the population level, try to create the population, avoid those mutations. That will be all right.
Are there any environmental factors?
There are for the mutation, it can happen. Randomly, any mutation can happen. Yes. So this mutation also must have happened spontaneously. Some mutations are selected. There is a mutation which causes sickle cell and so on. That is selected for the particular environment. That is essential. Otherwise, random mutation, we all gain random mutation at one point of time. But the mutation, if it is present in only 1.2% of the genome, which is coding for the protein, it is the rest of the place, it doesn't cause any phenotypic effect. It's a polymorph. We all carry millions of variations, four billions of variations compared to others. So those are not causing any disease. The mutation which is present in the coding region only cause the mutation, only cause the disease. That is in only maximum 2% of the genome.
Can you identify any environmental factors which can cause this mutation?
No, specifically we didn't look at it, but it's very well known. There are places where more radiation is there, it causes cancer. If somebody exposed to some kind of chemicals, radiations, these are all causes somatically. But it won't go to the next generation. Only the germline mutation goes to the next generation.
And one more last question, sir. Can these type of research be carried out in colleges?
Yeah, absolutely. Anywhere, whoever is interested, and only thing is funding is required. Otherwise, if you have any idea, most welcome to do that.
Will you be able to help us?
Definitely, whatever the way I can help, I'll be happy to help. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Presentation was very impressive. And I'm totally from biochemistry department side, so I don't know much about this quality, but he gave a brief explanation about the topic and who we are. And what is my question is that the autosomal recessive disease you told, like, in which category we can separate the
mentioned that harmful mutations like LAMP3 gene leads to the junction epidermolysis. So how we can differentiate it is from a recently originated mutations or from our ancestor founder event? Like these harmful genetic mutations are from our own ancestor founder event or recently mutations. How can we differentiate that mutations?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question, yeah, you can say. So you can look at the population which has diverged very recently, close population. And based on the mutation and mutation existing in the flanking region, there's a statistical method to estimate the age of the population, age of the mutation. So based on the mutation, you can predict how many thousand years back or how
for still we strongly believe that God will give you more help and more spirit of understanding with your alma mater. Thirdly, we would like to thank Dr. Thangaraj, the speaker of this event. Shall you give a big clap to thank you for the staff for giving more than 1 hour lecture to this title, A Tale Behind Tracing Our Roots and Beyond.
Zoology. I thank each and everyone for your